As promised, here's one of the clearest and most convincing Bigfoot sightings I've seen. According to the uploader, an equipment operator clearing trails for the National Park Wildlife Corridor spots a tall, dark, upright beast watching him work. This footage was captured directly by the corridor's webcams, giving it an added layer of credibility. The figure is clearly upright and large, standing out against the natural backdrop, and the fact that it was recorded by stationary cameras means there's no shaky hand excuse. What we're seeing appears to be genuinely unusual. The first couple of shots look pretty standard, just showing the operator clearing trails. But then, in the third shot, something dark and upright suddenly appears. And just like the caption said, it seems to be watching him work. Maybe the sound of the heavy machinery caught its attention, or maybe it wasn't happy about its territory being disturbed. Either way, it stands there, shifting slightly from side to side, observing. What really jumps out is the size. This thing is massive, both tall and wide, far too big to be a person in a costume. The video cuts off soon after, and it's assumed the creature quietly left the area. Reports suggest this all happened in a Canadian national park, which, as many of my videos show, seems to be a hotspot for sightings. Maybe it's time I plan a trip to Canada for some Bigfoot hunting of my own. But for now, take a look and tell me what you think. I'd say this clip is pretty convincing. Have you ever heard of the Yucca Man? It's one of the most chilling and convincing Bigfoot legends out there, backed by countless eyewitness reports and even some photographic evidence. In this segment, we're diving into the Yucca Man and sharing one of the most famous images said to capture this elusive desert giant. The photo, reportedly taken in the California desert during the 1990s, shows what many believe to be the Yucca Man. Unlike the forest-dwelling Bigfoots of northern and central California, this creature is said to roam the deserts of southern California, particularly around Joshua Tree National Park and the Marine Corps base at 29 Palms. Eyewitnesses describe it as a massive, shaggy, Bigfoot-like figure moving through the yucca-covered valleys and washes. Its coloring is often pale or sandy, blending perfectly with the desert landscape. Some accounts even claim it reaches heights of 10 feet or more, and is strong enough to make the ground tremble when it moves. Stories span decades, coming from hikers, locals, and even military personnel who've reportedly seen something enormous crossing the base at night. Common threads in these encounters include an intense feeling of being watched, mysterious footprints in the sand, and the sight of a huge figure darting between boulders with surprising speed. Whether it's an undiscovered species, a desert spirit, or just a legend that grew over time, the Yucca Man has firmly cemented itself in Southern California folklore. In this eerie photo, it's one of the pieces of evidence that keeps believers and skeptics talking. Here's the latest Bigfoot sighting making waves online. A guy named Kyle Campbell captured this footage on November 24th, 2025, along a quiet logging road in the dense forests of British Columbia, Canada. The video itself is surprisingly clear, but the creature is partially hidden behind thick foliage. Even though we don't get a perfect view, the encounter feels incredibly authentic. There's something about the way it moves and holds itself that makes you stop and think, could this really be Bigfoot? Some Bigfoot videos online feel staged or just off, but this one doesn't. Kyle Campbell spotted something Bigfoot-like not too far away, whipped out his phone, got a quick recording, and then wisely backed off. Staying any longer could have put him in serious danger. His goal was simple: capture proof and get out safely. Watching the footage closely, you can make out a tall, dark, upright figure peeking from behind a tree, clearly trying to stay hidden. At one point, it bends down and then slips back behind the tree. You can just barely make out a humanoid shape with a broad, slightly hunched posture. The way it moves doesn't match any known animal. Definitely not a bear. Kyle himself is clear this wasn't a bear or any other wildlife he's familiar with. So did he really capture a Bigfoot in the wilds of Canada? With secluded logging roads like this one, it wouldn't be the first time. But I want to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. A Vermont man says he recorded unsettling green night vision footage of what he believes may be a juvenile Bigfoot sitting in a tree. The video shows a small, dark figure gripping the trunk, then climbing deeper into the branches with unexpected agility. Reactions are mixed. Some viewers argue it is nothing more than a bear cub or possibly a porcupine, while others point out that the movement does not seem typical for either animal. With no clearer imagery available, no definitive conclusion can be drawn, but the footage has undoubtedly reignited speculation about what could be lurking in Vermont's forests.
Just staring right out at me, not bolting like a bear cub, say, would do. Hello? There's a lot we can pick up on this video that I did not notice at the time. Here he is moving some leaves out of the way from our right to left. Or could it even be a wave? I can see you. Next, he turns and shimmies up the tree. Where are you? I think I see you. Hello.
In some shots, we see a young Bigfoot climbing a tree. The author sees fluffy hair on his back, which may indicate the young age of the individual and incomplete molting. In many mammals, a thick, more fluffy coat is characteristic precisely for the adolescent stage, when the coat has not yet acquired the density and structure of an adult. In addition, such a hair distribution may indicate a seasonal change of coat, which indirectly confirms the biological rather than mythological nature of the creature. It is also important that the ability to confidently climb a tree indicates a well-developed upper body musculature and coordination, which is rarely observed in adults in such observations. This leads some researchers to suggest that young Bigfoots spend more time in the trees, both for safety and to observe the surrounding area. Some cryptozoologists consider Vermont to be part of the so-called Appalachian Corridor, a hypothetical route along which a Bigfoot population could move from the southern United States into Canada. Within this framework, Vermont is viewed as a quiet node, a place where the creatures do not remain for long, but appear on a regular basis. Bigfoot evidence seems to pop up more often than ever these days. Videos, photos, eyewitness accounts, you name it. But what about a Bigfoot selfie? I'm not talking about Bigfoot holding the camera, but one of those rare moments where someone snaps a photo and the creature just happens to appear in the background. That's exactly what happened to a lone hiker back on February 20th, 2022 in Northern Virginia. She was trekking through Shenandoah National Park along the Appalachian Trail as the sun was setting, casting the forest in that golden hour glow. Everything was picture perfect until she snapped a selfie that would later become infamous among Bigfoot enthusiasts. She didn't think twice about it at the time. She snapped the photo, finished her hike, and went on with her day. But later, when she looked back at that selfie, everything changed. Standing behind her in the background is a disturbing human-shaped figure. It appears aggressive, arms stretched outward, and it looks like it's staring directly at her. The unsettling part is the realization that it may have been following her the entire time she was on the trail. Once the image started circulating online, theories flooded in. Some believe it's a Bigfoot-like creature, possibly a juvenile Sasquatch. Others went in a more supernatural direction, suggesting it could be a ghost or something far beyond our understanding. Skeptics offered an even more terrifying explanation, that she may have been unknowingly stalked by someone in the woods. But when you really study the image, the proportions stand out. The arm length, the posture, the overall stance. It just doesn't line up with a normal human. And honestly, being followed in the wilderness by anything is enough to trigger pure fear. Whether it's an unknown creature, another person, or a predatory animal, it taps into one of the most primal fears we have as humans. The feeling that you're not alone, and something is watching you. Something truly fascinating has just surfaced in the Bigfoot world. An old FBI file that might actually support the existence of these creatures. For those who aren't aware, the FBI has released thousands of previously classified files through the Freedom of Information Act, and some of them are downright strange. Here's the kicker. The FBI usually doesn't make this kind of material public unless the person involved has passed away. So the release of a 22-page document specifically about Bigfoot raises some eyebrow-raising questions. Could this imply that Bigfoot is dead? Or at the very least, that the creature is real enough for the Bureau to take it seriously? Regardless, the content of these files is what really grabs attention. Let's break down what the documents actually say. The first page of this file is dated September 14th, 1976, authored by Peter C. Byrne from the Bigfoot Information Center and Exhibition, BIC, in Dallas, Oregon. Byrne wrote to the FBI's Scientific and Technical Services Division, requesting tests on some unusual hair samples they had found. 15 hairs still attached to a small piece of skin. They couldn't identify it, and thought it might be solid evidence of Bigfoot, so the samples were sent off for extensive testing. A few months later, the FBI responded. The hairs were determined to come from the deer family. For Bigfoot enthusiasts, this was a disappointing conclusion, but it's important to note, it doesn't disprove Bigfoot's existence. This particular case simply came up empty. Of course, some conspiracy theorists aren't satisfied. They argue the FBI didn't provide enough details about the tests conducted, and suggest this could have been a cover-up. They speculate that the Bureau might hold other Bigfoot files, ones that actually prove its existence, and that this release was a clever way to throw the public off the trail. While the FBI has made a number of Bigfoot-related files public, they could theoretically select which ones to release, potentially only sharing those that make the creature seem unlikely. So, even though this case doesn't confirm Bigfoot, it's still a fascinating glimpse into the history of these investigations. What do you think? Cover-up or just a dead end? A boy in Australia recording a video about making a fire in the woods may have unintentionally documented a possible Yowie encounter. In the footage, an unseen presence appears to throw an object at him from the tree line, followed by loud movement and aggressive territorial sounds. Behavior that could suggest an attempt to scare him away from the area. Whether this was a genuine Yowie sighting or simply someone in a costume remains open to debate.
Whoa! Whoa!
Here's another Bigfoot encounter that feels shockingly real. This one comes from a family out on a hike, just soaking in the scenery. They ventured deep into the woods, aiming for a particular spot, a small waterfall where they could stand beneath the cascading water. Once they arrived, one of them started recording to capture the moment, but in the background, something unexpected quietly makes its presence known. Through the spray of the waterfall, a bipedal silhouette emerges, a large, dark figure that undeniably resembles a Bigfoot. The family keeps filming as it moves along, then abruptly stops the recording, likely too stunned to continue. What was supposed to be a peaceful visit to the waterfall quickly turned into an encounter with something that many claim doesn't even exist. Slowing the footage down, you can make out more details. An upright figure with a broad back and hunched shoulders. Skeptics immediately suggested it's just a person with a backpack walking along the elevated terrain. But believers argue the proportions and movements match Sasquatch reports far too closely to ignore. Like many sightings, this one remains up for debate, but it certainly isn't lacking in authenticity. The story feels genuine, and the remote location with its endless water sources could easily serve as a Bigfoot habitat, a perfect hideout for an elusive creature. And yet, the next sighting I'm about to show keeps up this sense of realism while giving us some of the clearest footage we've seen so far. Let's dive in. While camping in a secluded shelter deep in the Michigan woods, a man settles in for the night with his 2 dogs, Miley and Lola. The stillness is abruptly shattered by eerie, echoing howls, long, powerful calls unlike any coyote or wolf he has ever encountered. His dogs stiffen, fixated on the dark forest.
You guys hear that? What the hell is that? That sounds like a skinwalker, Wendigo. What's that, girl? What's that, Lola? Dude, that shit's crazy as hell. It's coming from both sides. What is it, girls? You hear it? Dude, that thing's getting closer, though. What is it, girl? You hear it? Dude, I don't want to leave this blind. Whatever that is, it's creepy as shit. Is that the dogs wound up? What's going on, Miley? Lola? Should we go out there and find out what it is? Huh? That's crazy sound.
Some of the sounds are low, guttural moans, while others resemble a mix of whoops, screams, and loud knocks on nearby trees, patterns often reported in Bigfoot encounters. Experts suggest such vocalizations could serve as territorial warnings, communication between individuals, or even attempts to intimidate intruders. Unsure if the noises are coming from a Bigfoot, dogman, or some other unknown creature, the man can do nothing but listen as the mysterious presence moves around the camp, drawing closer with every unsettling sound. Next up, we've got a Bigfoot sighting at Mono Lake, California, one of the state's most surreal and alien-looking spots. Mono Lake is an ancient saltwater lake tucked into a quiet desert basin east of the Sierra Nevada. With no natural outlet, salts and minerals have built up over thousands of years, giving the water a strange, almost silky texture. The lake is also famous for its tufa towers, tall, jagged limestone formations that jut out of the water like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But Mono Lake isn't just known for its bizarre scenery, it is also a hotspot for reports of unusual creatures. Among them, this footage allegedly captures a Bigfoot lurking near the lake, adding yet another layer of mystery to this already otherworldly location. This footage was captured by a man who was simply trying to film the stunning Mono Lake landscape, but in the background for just a fleeting moment, a pitch-black figure appears, dark as a shadow. Its build screams Bigfoot, long swinging arms, a domed head, and an unmistakably humanoid shape. It shows itself briefly before disappearing behind the jagged tufa formations. California has a long history with Bigfoot sightings. Most famously, the Patterson-Gimlin film, the most studied Bigfoot footage ever, was shot in Northern California along Bluff Creek. This video comes from Central California, so it's not exactly the same area, but still within a state known for strange encounters. Even though this clip is short, it's compelling. Between the story, the remote location, and the creature's appearance, it feels authentic. Could California really be hiding Sasquatches in its wild corners? This video makes you wonder.